and welcome to the bonus episode of the TENERIFE Pod, sponsored by BGR Solutions. I'm Jenny T, your host, here with my co-hosts, the fabulous Steve Ballard.
Howdy.
And Chris Elkington.
Hello, we're all in light colours today.
We are.
There's no black, he's back.
There's a reason why. Are we telling anyone?
No, but all will be revealed.
Ooh.
That sounds exciting.
Actually, that sounded a bit weird more than anything, didn't it?
Sounded-
It sounded a bit webcam Steve, didn't it?
It did sound a bit webcam, Steve.
Have you had anybody talk to you about webcam, Steve?
No.
People have been walking past eyes now, if anything, avoiding.
Actually, yeah, people have been avoiding me rather than
Weird.
actually asking me
Have you
about
had any
it.
invitations online to join certain webcams? Have you?
I did have 2 random followers on my Facebook. They've been blocked. You know the ones that got a dog for a profile picture and 2 friends?
Or a
I'm
letter.
like,
It's people
no.
who have a letter and no, yeah.
A
Yeah.
letter?
Well, it's
So-
because they've got no picture.
So
Oh.
yeah, that's a blocking straight away because it's like 2 friends, no posts,
Yeah.
and just the pic. No,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's some of the people that we get on the Canarian Weekly who want
Yes.
to give their opinion.
Oh, yes.
I always like people who want to give their opinion without revealing who they are.
Or they do.
Don't you find?
Have you seen the Facebooks? And you're allowed now to do anonymous nicknames, so it'll be like Cool Cucumber or
Yeah, Spicy Pumpkin.
yeah. But then all that happens is these people who are anonymous just go and slag everybody off, but they can do it hiding behind a nickname.
Is yours webcam Steve?
No, my name. No, I'm not going to. say I was gonna- I
Scuba
was gonna go
Steve.
somewhere
Scuba
there.
Steve. That's who it is.
No, I use my actual name.
Dr. Steve.
I use my actual name because I've actually got things to say that are
I don't know why.
reasonable.
Because if you wanted to post anonymously before, it would just come up as anonymous
Anonymous,
member. But why are they coming up with these
I
weird,
don't know,
wonderful names?
But Meta have been meddling again. I don't know if you noticed, but your toolbar used to be at the top, is now at the bottom. So
Yeah.
someone at Meta's been meddling and fiddling around with things that they shouldn't do. Leave it alone, Zuckerberg.
What a huge problem that is, eh?
It is.
First world problems, indeed.
Totally.
How was your weekend, boys? Before we get into anything too serious.
It was nice, actually. Nice. Yeah, did a bit of work on Saturday as always, and then chilled out a bit. And then on Sunday, final day of the Premier League.
Me and
which was
Steve are a
really
married
nice.
couple again.
Aw,
we were doing coupley things. Yeah. We went and enjoyed a Sunday dinner and all of the football. There was like, I think we had 5 or 6 games that we could see on the tellies, on the big screens.
Jen,
sounds like a dream.
we went to the Winchester. I had my
Never.
first experience of a Sunday dinner at the Winchester, and when I got there, Steve was working there. Would you believe it?
What the hell?
I know.
It's-
Who knew?
You keep
I
things
mean,
on the down low.
you guys are mentioning it, not me. I'm having no hand in this whatsoever. But I wasn't supposed to be. That's the main
I've got to
thing,
say, it
isn't
was really good, though.
God.
It was really good. The cauliflower cheese was to die for.
Yeah, it's good.
Proper Yorkshire puddings, proper roast potatoes, good veg.
Yeah.
It was all good.
Everything you want from a Sunday roast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and do you know what? The staff were great. All
They're
the
lovely,
girls were
yeah,
great. They
lovely
were cool.
people. And actually, the atmosphere was really good because you had. There was about 12 Tottenham fans
Yep.
in the corner
There
who
was
were
and a
really
couple of Man
nervous
City
at the staff,
fans.
Man City. Then we had Arsenal next to us. There was West Ham, the other side.
Yep.
They weren't very happy at the end of the day. Yeah, the atmosphere was really, really good. It was
Oh,
packed.
good.
There was
as well.
this young Irish girl, yeah, with a boyfriend who's a Man City fan, and she was wearing a cherry T-shirt. Yeah, did you watch Britain's Got Talent
I've not caught up
with
yet.
with
I don't
Mr.
know.
Cherry?
I've heard about
You know who Mr.
him.
Cherry is.
Yeah.
He's the Japanese guy who opens bottles with his
yes.
with his buttocks and put a balloon up his bum and all this sort of thing. And he was wearing a Mr. Cherry T-shirt. And when she walked in, it was like, she's got a Mr. Cherry T-shirt. So I asked her, she was devastated because she looked
Wait,
at
don't tell me,
she
don't
looked at
tell
it on
me. I've
TikTok.
not
Well, no, just the
caught up.
fact of a T-shirt. Yeah,
Oh, right, okay.
Pasha and Ibiza must be absolutely pulling their hair out.
Yes.
But anyway,
Oh dear.
Well, I've had a nice weekend enjoying the delicious weather, I have to say.
Where'd you go?
So Saturday, bit of a pool day.
Nice.
At the pool bar, you know, Rebecca Bond was performing.
Yep.
Vicky were
very
doing
good.
a bit of bingo and sticky.
Sticky with
Sticky
Vicky.
Sticky with Vicky.
Hey.
I
I bet she was sticky in that heat.
I know. It was
And you
warm.
know what? I've got to say, she was wearing jeans.
Oh, really?
I got in, she was wearing, I don't even know if she saw me there because I didn't want to disturb her. She was mid-flow, mid-sticky.
Well, Victok, you were seen. You were seen in jeans. So explain yourself, woman.
Yeah.
Seen in jeans on
On a day like that,
climatastic- on a heat wave day. And then Siam Sundays, baby.
Oh, did you have a nice time?
It was lovely, but
Was it busy?
It was. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
it wasn't like summer holidays busy, but yeah, compared to when I last went, when the weather was a bit rubbish, there were more queues and stuff this
Right.
time. But still, a very enjoyable day. Really
Were
nice.
you gallivanting? around Siam?
How else
Has
would
to
you
be
get
asked,
around?
doesn't it? I mean, because you thought that me and Chris were flouncing around the golf course last week.
Around the
I am
fairways.
wondering if you were gallivanting around. I'm doing the actions as well. I can't believe it.
How else would you get around Siam Park?
It
I mean,
has
it's
to
the
be-
only way to
it has
travel.
to be
Anybody
gallivanting.
that's just walking.
Because you've got no shoes on the floor.
Yeah.
Scott.
It does get so
Diving
hot.
for-
Those shoes that you can buy, absolutely get them if you're going, or wear your flip flops. Neatly, this is it's just an excellent segue. The word gallivanting, I thought I'd bring it up because I was looking up its origin. I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I like reading, and I'm consumer
word
of
nerd?
words. Yeah, I am.
Have
a
you
little
ever
bit.
been on Countdown?
No, because I'm rubbish at maths. I can do the words, I can't do the maths at all.
Oh, I
would
could
be,
do the maths.
I'd be
We could go
hopeless.
on as a
We'll have to
team.
go on as a team, wouldn't we?
The Oasis
But the
team.
word gallivant or gallivanting actually comes from early 1800s. It's an alteration of the word gallant, which means to court or to flirt. Initially described women and men flirting or seeking romantic adventures, but then it was broadened to mean roaming aimlessly in search of pleasure.
Oh.
So,
which I'd like to point out, we were doing neither on the golf
yes, no, that's
course.
very true.
I believe you, thousands wouldn't.
So etymologists believe English speakers
I beg your pardon, who?
altered etymologists. These are people who look at the meanings
They're
of
the
words.
kind of words I have to practice in my head before I say. I couldn't just do that off the cuff.
But it's now this is great because it's altered its verb. It's a verb, gallivant,
gallivant.
to describe frivolous, flirty, or acts of wandering round.
There we
so
go.
that's it. Also, there isn't a Spanish word that translates directly. There is a phrase in Spanish that means something similar, and it's callejera, which means to wander the streets. So there you go. That's the gallivanting.
I
and
think
its Spanish
people
equivalent.
should gallivant more. I think the world would be a happier place
I
if we were a
might
bit
gallivant
more
out of this pod later, actually. Just for giggles.
gallivantastic.
Gallivantastic.
Yeah,
I like it.
Let's get more gallivantastic in our day-to-day lives. Wouldn't the
why not?
Mercadona shop be more fun if everyone was just
Gallivanting round Mercadona. I think we'd be crashing each other's trolleys, to be honest. Wouldn't we?
Oh, what have you two been smoking or taking this morning? Really? What's going on?
The heat's
Help!
got to me. The heat's got to me. That's what it is.
Speaking of heat, shall we come over?
Oh, a stinger.
Oh,
It is
hang on.
indeed. So obviously we need to talk a little bit about weather.
Yes.
Tell us what's occurred.
Well, the current situation, obviously, we know it's hot. It's been hot across the weekend. What I liked about this weekend
Apparently it's
is
hot in England as well.
England have had hotter temperatures than we have initially over the Friday and the Saturday. So some parts of the south of England got to 39 degrees Celsius in the
Wow.
south of England.
However,
which
it's
has
only
been-
going to last for 48 hours.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
summer
then
gone.
it'll be
by
rain.
Tuesday it's raining
That's
again.
summer
so
gone,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah, you've had it. So if you're doing a barbecue, maybe do it today, because it's Bank Holiday Monday, I think.
It
isn't
is,
it?
yeah,
So
in
do
the
it
U-
today.
in the UK.
For us, though, the temperatures are going to remain very warm. There is a bit of breeze, but it's still very warm. There's not that much in the way of dust as well, which is quite nice. When we said
Here,
Kalima, here, I was expecting to have to wash the car several times, or at least scrape a load of sand off. But it hasn't been that bad. Temperature-wise, though, going to stay hot. There's some warnings in effect now as well. So we have the perfect conditions, unfortunately, forest fires.
Yeah.
That's the 30s. If you remember how they do the
The
rule
330s, yeah.
330s.
The 330s.
So 30 degrees, the kilometres of the wind over 30, and the humidity less than 30%.
Correct.
Does that
So
mean
that's-
like the picnic parks and stuff are likely to be closed, or is it likely?
Not necessarily closed, but obviously there are warnings in place, real strict warnings and wardens around, about
keeping safe and doing
yeah,
things the
and
right
not
way.
discarding cigarettes and
Yeah.
things like this.
So the main points on that, and actually there are more.
to be fair,
staff
sorry
on
to
that. Yeah, no,
interrupt. To be fair, it's a pre-alert at the moment.
Yes.
Right,
If
okay.
it gets raised to an actual alert, then yes, they will close. But at the moment, it's a pre-alert.
And as always with forest fires and the forest regions and things like that, barbecues are always a bad idea at this when the temperatures
yeah.
are like this. Glass bottles as well. People don't realise
Yeah.
that a glass bottle acts as a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
So you might not think discarding a glass bottle is innocuous like
But
a
that can
cigarette
start a
end,
fire.
but that can start a fire as
Wow.
much as a cigarette end can. So we can.
And leaving like sunglasses in your
Yeah,
car
no,
and
absolutely.
things like that.
There
that's
have
a
been
hazard,
there
isn't
have
it?
been situations where cars have burst into flames, but haven't burst into flames exactly because of that very thing. So just be careful about that. And also, there is an advisory, yellow warning is in effect for high temperatures, which basically means look after yourself. Keep hydrated. You're all adults. You decide how you keep hydrated. I'm not going to tell you.
It did make me laugh, Steve, because obviously in Lanzarote and Fuerteventura, they're expecting 40 degrees inland,
right.
37 on the coasts, about 35 in Gran Can, over here in Tenerife, about 32, 33 at the moment, which will go up. And I do love some of the comments we get on Canarian Weekly. It's called summer, which isn't the point of the article. The point of the article is the fact that there's a pre-alert in place and there's government advice on staying out the sun, how to hydrate, etc., etc., etc.
The peak hours of sunshine, as we know, 11 till 3. Those are avoiding things like excessive exercise. So if
outside,
you're
outdoors,
so if you're not indoors, So if you're out and you're a jogger or whatever it is, it's like do it first thing or last thing. Don't do it when it's the heat of the sun.
And taking your pets out for a walk and
absolutely,
that kind of thing.
And not leaving them in the car. That's another one that they're pushing as well again.
Yeah.
And on that subject, did you know that you are legally allowed to break a window if there's a dog in a car? You will not be held liable for criminal damage.
I had heard this,
but
I didn't know how much.
That's theft. That's a separate charge. But you are allowed to break a window. You will not be charged with damaging that vehicle if you are rescuing an animal.
I didn't know if it was one of those myths, but
it's not. It's fine. You won't get held. In fact, the person whose pet it is will have the book thrown at them because they're really hot on animals. Spain now have rules on animal welfare. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, thanks for the update. We'll come back on the next pod to see if you've got any more.
See if I'm a liar, Jen.
I wasn't going to say anything, webcam man. Right, let's move on and bring you some news. Before we get into anything too serious today, because there's a few things I want to touch on, I just want to mention the fact that our news segments, well, Steve particularly, may have saved some residents thousands of euros. We've come to discover over the weekend, did we not, Steve?
We did. We've had some feedback because we were talking about feedback the other day, weren't we? About how people have said, we've seen the reels and we see you on the pod and we listen and it's really... So I was talking to somebody on Saturday who said, your reel or your pod section on using your mobile phone while crossing the road as a distraction and being fined for it was in my mind because this person was about to cross the road looking down at their phone. There was a police car who'd stopped to let them cross and she went, oh, boop. Phone went in the pocket and carried on. And so the potential there for not getting fined.
Also, Jen, I told Steve this yesterday on Saturday when I was at the Aquas Bar. I had a couple from Iceland.
Oh, right.
The country, not the shop, before anyone says it, who came up to me and said, oh, are you Chris, the Canarian Weekly? And I was like, yeah. And they said, look, we saw your in-depth reel about the cruise ship and hantavirus. Because they live in Los Cristianos, so they lived here about 4 years. And when obviously it first came out, they had friends at home in Iceland saying, you need to come back. Come back before you get, locked down or whatever. And they actually thanked me for our coverage because obviously it put their mind at rest and meant they kept up to date with what was happening.
And they were able to make a decision based on to stay, to just go and that's really
amazing.
Good. That's really good.
I feel like we're changing the world for the better, one pod at a time.
No, but it's nice with all the criticism that actually we know that there is positive sides as well.
Yeah,
because
100%.
We don't make the news. We don't want to report about viruses and this, that, but we try and do it in the most positive way or giving the correct news we can.
Absolutely.
And so 100%. It's nice to get,
and if feedback. You don't like it, scroll on.
Yeah, you don't want to read it,
Talking
you don't
of
have to. Yes. So let's go on to something. I think we have to mention it, and I don't personally have a lot of information on this.
Okay.
But I want to bring up the Weddings in Tenerife because I feel like a lot of people would have seen this and it affects not only residents but holidaymakers and people that have perhaps booked weddings. Yeah. So the company Weddings in Tenerife, I've seen basically a screenshot of an email gone out saying that they have gone bankrupt and basically there's now people that have weddings planned scrambling to try and save the day. I know a lot of people in the community trying to help out and that kind of
trying to club together, which is always good to see that.
Yeah.
Let me just explain one thing because I've had a lot of emails, private messages, obviously to the company.
Yes.
Because they were an advertiser with us on the Canarian Weekly website, which, saying, you must do something. You must know more. What's going on? Where are they? What have they... And it's like, well, hang on a minute. They advertise with us like a lot of other people do. We don't necessarily know what's going on in the background. We don't know any more than anyone else. You know, we got informed to take down their advertising with immediate effect. And then obviously this all came out just afterwards about the fact that they filed for insolvency, filed for bankruptcy, which tells you one thing, because the main thing that people are putting online is that they're doing a bunk, they're doing a runner, they're leaving the island. Well, we know that one of them's got children, which means you can't just leave when you're in the situation they're in without going into their personal situation, because that's not for us to broadcast. No. But also, you don't file for bankruptcy in the Spanish legal system if you're doing a bunk, if you're doing a runner. You know, they did say in their post that more will come out. Don't forget, this came out at, what was it, lunchtime on Friday? And you've got the weekend in between. So how we're supposed to find out any more information on Saturday and Sunday, I really don't know. We do know that their business is the doors are shut. Right. So obviously, you know, that they're not contactable. But they have said that there will be a claim process, which is how it works over here. As it does in other countries.
And they're an SL company, is that right?
They're a limited company.
So it's so it's the equivalent of a UK limited company.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So there are things that are being done through the legal system. Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
And there are legal recourses for those creditors.
Of course. Now, as much as I feel for the people who obviously it's the big day, it's abroad, they don't necessarily have the contact, don't know what to do, where to turn. I get that. 100%. I got married in a foreign country. I got married in St. Lucia. Yeah. And, you know, if something had gone wrong, God knows where I would have done or what I would have done. But the fact, obviously, it's great to see everyone pulling together, the other celebrants, obviously people who do videography, organise weddings and all the rest of it, trying to help out the people who, you know, have got stuff booked. And obviously there's going to be people who've paid money and aren't, you know, need to get it back. So there is going to be a legal process. They've put that out there. And if they filed for bankruptcy, which obviously we believe they have, then there will be a legal procedure to follow. How that helps you in the meantime, if you've got your wedding booked in the next month or so, not at all. No. Because any litigation process like this can take a while, can't it, Steve?
Absolutely. Especially if you have, you know, winding up orders, they call it, or, you know, when you're filing for insolvency and you tell basically the courts that we cannot fulfill our obligations, which will include creditors like the taxman.
Yeah.
So the issue with companies going into insolvency is they have to prioritise who their creditors are, and usually and unfortunately the government is usually prioritised over everybody else, and then there'll be creditors who need to pay bills, and then the last people, if they have staff, if they're employing staff, they'll get paid last. So,
also, it's not an easy decision.
No, it's not.
To wind up a company. It's not an easy process. I mean, during COVID we were close to it, we looked into it, a lot of businesses did fold. And it's a really complicated situation, and it's not a decision you can take lightly.
No, I wound up a business in late 2009, early 2010. So we're talking when in the UK. This was when the global recession started, and I lost a lot of business in a very short space of time. It was a coffee and catering business. People stopped buying their morning coffee. They tightened their belts. I lost a lot of business. I used to do buffets for banking institutions for their AGMs and their meetings. We did a lot of outside catering. I lost virtually all of that almost overnight when businesses were saying, we're not doing this anymore. And me and my dad, who's my silent partner, had to sit down and say, what are we going to do? Yeah. And it was the hardest thing in the world, because I'd owned that business for a couple of years. It was my baby. It was the first time of running a business myself. It was a joy and it was a great place. And the heartbreaking thing is you have to make a decision based on, we can't throw any of our own money at this.
And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. No. There's going to be people affected.
Absolutely.
Who you've got contracts with, whether they're suppliers or they're people who are clients.
3 members of staff that unfortunately we had to make redundant. Our landlord still wanted his 6 months rent up front. We had the council wanted their business
rates. Going back to this one.
But yes, so there's a lot of people involved in this because if you've got a client list, and that's why it takes time.
This has been something that's kind of been on my mind since I've seen this post, because I've seen a lot of accusations and people perhaps guessing and
that's all they are doing.
Exactly. And obviously there might be people that know more than I do, I don't know. But I think until people know the facts, and maybe we never will, I just think we've got to be careful throwing all these accusations.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Who knows what has actually gone on?
It's very easy to point the finger because it's weddings, because they're high value things, and because people's emotions are very high. I don't want to defend Weddings in Tenerife for their decision. I'm just trying to give a practical analysis of it. And any business that goes into insolvency is basically due to cash flow and due to lack of money. Now, weddings are very high value things. We know they've done some big weddings, big Indian weddings where over 1,000 people. Now, if they haven't been paid for them, because the norm is to pay half up front and get half afterwards, but they have received obviously 10s or 15s or whatever off other people, and the books don't match, and they've literally run out of money and got nowhere to go. Yeah. They've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very unfortunate situation for any business in any industry that, as I said, people are going to get affected. And, as and when we know more, because I've got people pointing the finger saying, you're not doing an article because they advertise with you. No, that's not true. We've been here before with the timeshare industry in the peak of huge amounts of money. Yeah. We've been in this with crypto crime with huge amounts of money. The difference is with this one is that obviously there's far more passion involved and emotion involved because it's weddings, and because there's an element of people knowing people, because it's friends of friends and people who live here and so on and so forth, whereas those other cases were probably a bit more removed. So as and when we know what is going on and we have the facts, of course we will report it. Yeah. But until that point, we have to.
You're only going to report the news. You're not the conjecture and not the.
Put it this way: I described it to somebody who very irately contacted me as saying, we are not a knee-jerk reaction business. We have to find out the facts. Yeah. It's very easy to have a knee-jerk reaction, and I respect the fact of why people are upset, and obviously, if it was. I mean, look, let's go back to something we just mentioned. One of the things you said, Jen, about the hantavirus cruise ship was when you've got all these evil, horrible, disgusting comments, would people be saying that if it was their parents, grandparents, or members of their family on the boat? Yeah. Would they then be turning around and saying, just sink it? Yeah. Don't let it come here. Fuck them. Yeah. Excuse my language, but that's what they were saying. Yeah. And obviously now when it involves people they know, it's a completely different approach.
That element of the be kind, or just even just be nothing. Okay, that's happened, and it is awful for the people, like you say, that are going to lose out.
But let's find out the facts first.
Let's wait and see, because maybe we will never know, but don't just assume and don't jump to conclusions. But well done to everybody that is trying to save the weddings that are over the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's the community of this island getting together and doing the right thing.
And obviously, if we can do anything on the radio to help promote that or help that situation, of course we will. That's what you guys are here for.
I've contacted a couple of people to say, if anyone wants a silent disco or a silent adventure as part of the entertainment, depending on availability, we will try and do something like that. And I think there's so many different elements from
hair,
makeup.
If anybody would like a master of ceremonies, of course, I can. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Ballard.
Well, thanks. If anybody wants what can I do? Caterer. I could do the catering.
I think you could be a cheesy DJ.
I already am. Every weekday, 3 till 6.
Let's move on. Chris, I know that you wanted to touch on something today. Our Tenerife. Oh, another stinger. We're already in news. Okay, you're letting me be stinger happy today. Thanks very much.
Gonna need some cream for these stings, aren't
It's just so you can close that section starting.
Okay,
all right. Punctuation.
Oh, that's exactly what
I wanted to ask a question. I wanted to ask a question, Jen. And this is after some of the articles that have been more in the UK press than here. And the question is, and I know, Steve, you're going to jump on this. You're getting ready on your springboard. Do the UK press target Tenerife?
Yes. In short, yes.
Okay.
And it makes me mad.
Let me explain, Jen. All right. So we published the other day the article about there was a 4.8 earthquake off the coast of the north coast of Gran Canaria, which was felt heavily in Fuerteventura, Gran Canaria, and northern parts of Tenerife. Buildings did shake, furniture moved, loud rumbling for a few seconds. 4.8 is the biggest one there's been for 5 years in the Canary Islands. Yeah. Not related to any of the activity under Teide or the Inmedio volcano, completely separate, independent. Yeah. The Sun said the Canaries are rocked by earthquake with strong tremors and keep calm alert issued.
When? Where?
I don't
How?
remember.
Who? What? When was that? I must have missed it. Was I asleep?
Very possibly.
Yeah, the red top penny dreadfuls are at it again.
The next one is that, you did an article, Jen, about La Pinta Beach in Puerto Colón closing due to bacteria levels.
That was like over a week ago. That was like
14th of May.
Yeah.
All right, 14th of May. And it reopened on the 15th.
Yeah, I don't think it was even closed for 24 hours.
Because you did the article about it reopening as well.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay. Now, the Mirror yesterday were reporting that it's still closed and has been closed for 11 days now, or 10 days now. And obviously it's terrible for tourists. And
tourist hotspot. Something. It'll be a clickbaity red top rag penny dreadful.
And you know what though? But the issue is that you've got people commenting, going, "Oh, Jane, you came home on Friday. Is this why you're ill?" And it's it was open. You know?
Shares in tinfoil going up again.
Now the next one, the last one I wanted to mention, is because on the 27th of June, there is going to be another organised demonstration and protest against the housing situation.
Yeah.
In other words, the rights to a home, affordable housing.
Yes.
Not just social housing, but affordable housing in general.
Mm.
Prices, tourism v residence as far as housing is concerned. But we know already in advance, even though it's more than a month away, that all the tourist go home stuff is going to be regurgitated.
This is it's going to be an anti-tourist protest. They won't probably even mention housing, or if they do, it'll be right at the bottom of the article where you're already bored of reading it and you don't read till the end.
Exactly.
That's the way it works.
Now, you've got people claiming, some people believe that these are UK government-backed campaigns, which are to trash Tenerife and the Canaries, so people will holiday in the UK to keep the money inside Britain and not allow it go elsewhere, with publications such as the Sun, Mirror and Daily Mail targeting middle, working and lower classes, which, you know, is bulk tourism. What do you think, Steve?
Well, I mean, as we're
He fell off his chair.
Let me just light this blue
I
touch
was going to
paper.
say, stand well back, because
Here comes
Jesus,
Steve.
I mean, flipping heck.
You can swear if you want.
Well, fuck. I don't know where to begin on that, because, you know, the Mirror and the Sun, these are the red top rags. So these are the tabloid trash, real lack of journalism and journalistic
All right,
integrity.
question number one. Do they target Tenerife?
No, but they do incorrectly.
So they don't target Tenerife?
I don't want to use the word target. They report incorrectly about Tenerife.
So they trash
because it's but I don't think I don't agree.
Hang on, when I asked, do the UK press target Tenerife, you went yes.
I know
now
I
you
did,
said
but
no.
I comically said yes.
Oh, okay.
But I just think
Well, it wasn't very funny.
I just think it sells newspapers that Tenerife is a huge tourist hotspot, because they use tourist hotspot in virtually every fucking headline.
Article, yeah.
Tourist hotspot rocked by earthquake. Tourist hotspot has got shit in the sea. They're like anything to get you to go, oh my God, we're going to Tenerife, because it's one of the most popular destinations in the Canary Islands. It's to sell newspapers.
In Spain.
The other one that's popped up, again, I think this is more from the Express and the Mail. So they're the other side, they're, you know, left or right, whatever you want to call it. The other tabloids who are talking about this Fodor list, which is an advisory about thinking where you should be going on holiday based on the environmental impact that your trip may have. It's, according to the Express and the Mail, a no-fly list, like it's a government-backed FCO saying don't go to Tenerife. So yeah, I get it.
So is it government-backed?
The Fodor list, no. The Fodor is
no,
independent.
in general, this trash reporting.
I don't think it is. It's easy to go, well, they want you to stay in Britain. That might have
or is it because the readers they're targeting and where they holiday is the mass market
Of
and
course,
their mass readership.
Absolutely. And I can tell you right now that there will be full-page ads in those newspapers from EasyJet, Jet2 and Ryanair advertising flights to Tenerife. So if there was some kind of, like, don't go there,
Because
they
it
wouldn't
seems
be
to me,
running those ads, would
It
they?
seems to me, and I don't know what you think, Jen, but it seems to me that Tenerife kind of, or the Canary Islands, but we're talking about Tenerife, is kind of grouped with Benidorm and Magaluf.
Yeah.
When they're doing articles, whereas places like Ibiza and Marbella are viewed as probably a little bit more
elite. Like,
elite's probably a better word.
And actually, the first story you did was about earthquakes. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever holidayed in Greece. They're 10 a penny in Greece, but we're not getting the same.
Are they?
Yeah, Greece has a lot of earthquakes. It's very tectonic in that area. So but it's not like.
I could only think Technotronic when you said that then.
This beat is Technotronic.
But
that's it. I mean, but I think it is, and I think it's more. I think it's more to do with the fact that people know Tenerife, they know about it, they know where it is. They've probably been on holiday there, and it's an effort to sell papers.
And also,
with
let's be
headlines.
honest, because we're 12 months of the year.
Yes.
So obviously, when other resorts are shut, they have to, if they want to do this kind of, reporting.
Also, I can't imagine that too many people are like, Doris, let's holiday in England this year. Have you been to Centre Park? Do you know how expensive it is? About 4 times the price of coming here for 2 weeks, all inclusive.
He is on one today. You triggered him. He's triggered.
I want to know who Doris is.
I think it's the first name that came into it. Sorry, Doris.
So, to answer your question, yes, I think the press do target Tenerife. The UK press do.
We never seem to get anything positive. It's always negative.
That's
even
a good point.
like something that, because I had a very similar conversation with a friend about the incident in Cabo Blanco a few months ago, where it was a horrible incident. Won't go into it, but a father,
of course,
used a machete on his family. It was horrible.
On his son, yeah.
But obviously, that was such a huge story. It did get picked up on the UK, and I think that phrase that you just used, Steve, the tourist hotspot. So my friend who lives there, her friends were like, "Oh my God, like you're in this place. That's where you live." Like. And she was like, yeah, but it's not a tourist hotspot. Like, it's literally the other side of it. I'm like, it was in Cabo Blanco.
With Arona and other places, San Isidro, stories about little villages somewhere. Tourist hotspot rocked by crime or something.
Yeah, but at the same time, when they look at it on a map, as the crow flies, Cabo Blanco might only be 3 kilometres or 4 kilometres from Los Cristianos.
Yeah, I get that.
Or San Isidro is only the same from the airport.
Yeah.
So
but
if you don't know, you don't know, do you?
That's the quality of the journalism I'm referring to. That's the integrity of their journalism.
Fair enough.
But why, like you just said, a lot of these things are perhaps relatable to the whole of the Canaries, but it's only ever like, you never see like, danger in Gran Canaria, danger in Fuerteventura.
That's true,
So it does always seem to be Tenerife. And is it because it's slightly bigger? I don't know. Like what
I
is
think
the
it's
reason?
the popularity.
Probably because we've got the biggest market.
Yeah.
Where there's more Brits come here than any of the other islands. Yeah. So it goes back to clickbait readers again, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Right. In regards it being a scheme to keep people in the UK, I don't.
It's a bit far-fetched.
I don't think that's what it is, because there's so many other places that you.
I know, and actually the whole EES thing has obviously blown up as well with the gates and the queues and the things like that. So people are like, "Oh my God, Greece have said that they're not going to do it." That's not up to Greece.
No.
That's up to the EU. If Greece say we're going to, the EU are going to go, "No, you're not."
Which they have done.
Exactly. But again, that makes headlines. That's exciting.
Computer says no.
Yeah,
so
that's exciting for the newspaper reporters, because that sells. That's what sells the newspapers.
So we're thinking more than anything, more than a scheme to get people to stay in the UK and spend the money there. It's literally just.
It's a scheme to sell papers.
If you put Tenerife, more people are likely to click and open the article.
In the UK tabloids, yeah. In the UK tabloids, 100%. If you put Tenerife, Magaluf, or Benidorm, they're getting.
People will read it because they're like, I know that. I know that.
Because they're the 3 biggest destinations.
Like the amount of people that went missing, for example, not long after the Jay Slater, every article.
Every missing person was like,
Tenerife.
oh my God, there's something sinister going on in Tenerife. Yeah. All of these people are going missing. It didn't happen 20 years ago. It did. You just didn't hear about it on social media.
Sure. And interestingly, about disgruntled, I had Jet2 staff contact me at 7:30 in the morning yesterday.
Wow.
About the article to do with the pilot, or one of the pilots, having a heart attack on the flight from Tenerife to Birmingham on Thursday night, which was diverted to Porto.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't heard of the what happened, basically during the flight, one of the pilots up front had a heart attack. The aircraft, according to passenger reports and witnesses, lost a lot of altitude. There was a fair bit of panic. The stewardesses were on the tannoy asking for if anybody had medical experience because they wanted some help. And obviously then it was stabilised and they landed in Porto. 13 hours they were there for before a new flight crew and plane could come out to take them home. Now, obviously, those are passenger reports saying there was chaos on board, there was panic on board, it dropped this altitude. And obviously Jet2 have turned around and said it was dealt with seamlessly, professionally. No one was in danger. No one's safety was in question. They haven't confirmed it was a heart attack. They've just said that one of the flight crew became ill, felt unwell. Now, I had messages saying that we are printing false news because it doesn't make stories, and that's because we put one of the pilots or the pilot, which is what everyone was reporting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But apparently it was the first officer or first What? Explain what goes on in a cockpit, Steve.
So the flight crew, as is usually on a short-haul flight like this, made up of two people. Both pilots, both fully qualified on that particular range of aircraft. They will need to be a commercial pilot having at least 5,000 hours of flying training. You will have one pilot called pilot monitoring and one pilot called pilot flying. So one pilot is piloting the aircraft. The other pilot is monitoring, i.e. he's doing the radio, he's doing all of the instrumentation, he's doing course headings.
And why do they have two?
You have to have two.
In case one gets ill?
In case something happens to one, in this case, and someone is incapacitated.
I have a question.
Yes.
And again, I don't know if this is one of those myths that you had. Is it true that both pilots have to eat a different meal on the plane in case one of them gets food
that's actually true. So if they are served food, that is absolutely true. They cannot eat the same meal in case there's some sort of contamination or food poisoning, so you will have both pilots incapacitated. They have to have different...
Now, you're saying both pilots, so does that mean technically they are both pilots?
They're both pilots, so you have pilot monitoring and pilot
saying that one of the pilots had a heart attack, in this case, is actually correct?
Completely accurate, yes.
Okay, thank you.
They're both pilots and they're both... Now, what would happen in that case... So when you talk about this reduction and dropping down, that's absolutely bang on. So, as we mentioned on the pod a couple of weeks ago, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. He would have called that straight away. They would have had to, by air traffic control regulations, drop out of cruising altitude because there is an emergency situation. So you have to drop down in an emergency situation.
He knows loads, doesn't
I know.
he?
So you would decrease the power, you would bring the plane down lower, and then you would talk about your alternates. Pilot monitoring may have been the pilot who was...
So when you're talking passenger reports against Jet2 statements,
yes,
both are correct.
Yes.
Because the passengers are reporting saying there was panic on board, the plane dropped.
Yeah.
And Jet2 are saying, yep, it was dealt with by protocol correctly under procedure.
Yes.
But the procedure is to drop altitude.
Exactly. And the drop altitude, so your pilot, of course it can, because if you're not expecting it to happen. And then also asking for a medical professional, if there's one on board, is absolutely the right thing to do, because your cabin crew are trained medically to a certain degree, i.e. first aid and things like that. If he is having...
They're not there to serve drinks.
Yeah, they're there for your safety. But if he was having a myocardial infarction, or something wrong with his heart, or something myocardial infarction, then it would require...
Jen.
Ooh.
You know when you see the headlines on the Spanish news about an infarto, always makes me laugh. That's where it comes from.
It's an infarction, yes.
An infarto is a heart attack in Spanish.
Yes, exactly.
Not what you think it is.
But it also...
That's why you didn't like my article that time. Makes sense now.
But it requires immediate medical intervention.
Yeah,
so a doctor would have been called if there was also a chance that CPR was needed or something to keep that pilot alive. Anyway, going to the other pilot, the then pilot flying, who might not have been the pilot flying at the time. He may have been pilot monitoring. So he has to then do the radio and everything else.
Take over.
And in an emergency situation, every single airline has three things: aviate, navigate, communicate in an emergency situation like that. So fly the plane, navigate the plane, communicate your problem. And that's when you'll go to an alternate. The alternate was picked specifically because it has ILS, which is called Instrument Landing System. When you're landing an aircraft manually, it takes 2 of you to do it. When you have ILS, which is the Automatic Instrument Landing System, you can do it with 1 pilot.
Right.
That's why they chose that specific airport. And then I assume that all of the crew were then over their hours, which is why they stayed for so long.
Absolutely. That's why they would have had to bring
you
another...
can't have crew...
They weren't allowed to take off again.
That's right, right.
Because it's one of those things you always think is in a film when they go, like, has anybody got medical experience?
Listen, do you know what? It happens more often than not.
Can I tell you?
When something like
can I tell you a story that's nothing to do with Tenerife?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I do a feel-good news section on my radio show every morning, and there was a feel-good news story not so long ago about an incident on a plane. A passenger was having a heart attack or whatever it was, and they came over the tannoy and was like, is anybody on board a doctor? And like 23 people raised their hand. The plane was on the way to a cardiology conference, and they saved the woman's life.
Then immediately after leaving the aircraft, she went and bought a lottery ticket because, oh my God, the chances of you being on an aircraft with cardiology doctors.
That's brilliant.
Isn't it?
Like, come on.
Yeah. Just
Brilliant.
Just thought I'd tell you about
So
that.
ultimately, obviously, the pilot's okay.
Yeah.
And, Jet2 have reported that it was dealt with correctly. But
and from what I read, it was.
But also as well, we can only report what we're given.
Yes.
So I think sometimes people get a bit defensive, protective, whatever it is, and forget that. And also, as you say, Steve, if it's protocol to drop altitude quickly, yet from the passenger point of view, obviously that's a scary situation.
They would have been at
You're
that
going to
point,
get a mix.
Of course.
You're going to
and
get
also
a
at that point, they would have been unaware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because suddenly pilot monitoring becomes pilot flying because the other part. So he's got a lot of things to concentrate on now. So you've got to go out of the autopilot in order to descend. There's all of these things going on. The first thing he's not going to do is, hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is the flight deck. Just to let you know, one of our pilots. It doesn't work like that.
Do you know, if it was
you
a
have
woman
to fly
pilot,
the plane first.
If it was a woman pilot, she'd have probably done it at the same time, just multitasking.
Oh, really?
Done both
Really?
jobs
Really?
and
Yeah.
reassured everyone on board.
So many jokes, but I'm not saying
well,
any
I
of
am,
them.
because unfortunately, then when they landed, she wouldn't have been able to park it. There you go. I said it.
Wow. Shall we move on?
Yeah, go on.
Let's just talk about something that's happening this weekend in Tenerife. It's a huge weekend in, the Canary Islands, but obviously the Tenerife Pod. Canarian Day.
Yes.
It is.
Friday the 30th. Oh, it was Saturday.
Saturday the 30th,
Yep. Yeah. So obviously this is a huge bank holiday. If you are coming to Tenerife, there might be things that are closed and stuff. You might be noticing some local celebrations. I know.
We love a fiesta.
This is the one where you have to get all the traditional outfit for your kids for school.
I was going to say, this is the one where parents are suddenly panicking, going, has anybody got grey trousers and white shirts?
On the last day,
the day before,
But I think what's interesting about this, Steve, is Canarian Day has only existed since 1983.
That's right.
You mentioned that to me earlier, and that blows my mind. And I think because of the cultural, I say costumes, that's perhaps not the right word, but because of the dress that they have to wear, it looks so
a lot old.
fashionable.
And also because we have things like May Day, which go back hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But basically, coming out the Francoist regime, Spain created the 17 autonomous regions between 1979 and 1982. All right, so the Canaries officially became an autonomous region of Spain in August 1982. But the first session of Parliament was on the 30th of May 1983, which is what Canarian Day is about.
Yeah.
So it's actually celebrating a political day of independence more than anything else, or recognition of becoming an official region of Spain. So not just the Canaries. I mean, they all have their own days around which obviously generated all around the same time. But it does look like one of those, because it celebrates the heritage and everything.
That's right,
That looks like it's been going on for hundreds of years.
It looks like some sort of 17th century kind of, we have to dress as old women and old men and kind of
so
thing. So
realistically, the kids should be wearing 80s stuff
they should
to
be.
school. They should be wearing rah-rah skirts and leg warmers.
We should be playing music from 1983. What was the number one on the 30th of May?
Toto Africa.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like they've really missed a trick here.
Absolutely.
Because I go to my kids' school, and I think most of the schools will do a similar thing. You get invited to, and the kids will do like a Canarian dance. But it's very very nothing 80s about it.
I think it's nice because it's the autonomous, session of Parliament and things. That was the crux of it. That was we are the Canaries now, and this is ours, and we're doing our own thing. And I love the fact that it's like, well, okay, how do we celebrate Canaries Day? We could have done the 80s theme, missed a trick, we agree. But they went, no, let's show everybody what the Canaries is all about. And that's what I think is beautiful about it.
The food, the costume, 100%. The music, the dance, everything.
There's always an element of panic for me coming up to this day. Because costume, no, I'm all right with that. In fact, I've got a couple of costumes ready to go that I've bought off people that have left the island and stuff like that. Just when my kids,
that's good
so I don't have to. I know, who would have thought it? But the teachers will generally send out a few days before, this is what you've got to provide for the little Canarian. So it's always like some kind of food dish. Obviously, not being Canary, I struggle with like an English dish, to be honest. I burn pasta and beans when I make beans on toast. So to be given something Canarian to prepare, an element of panic, but I do feel like the teachers...
You've got Chef Steve here.
I know, flipping egg.
All the things...
No, don't tell anyone.
All the things that you could do. Yeah. I mean, I would always recommend, the Canaries love tripe. So let's... I'm joking, but they
tell you. They say, this is what you need to bring in. So it might be like a gofio dish or some kind of tortilla.
Do you know what? Gofio only...
Carne con papas?
Daniel
Carne con papas.
Yeah.
She liked that, by the way.
I said to Jen the other day when she mentioned this Gofio, there's only one place Gofio belongs. In the bin.
Yeah.
It's the only Canarian food I don't like.
So for people coming on holiday, now, very often if there's a bank holiday that falls on a weekend, so in December with the 6th and 8th bridge, they do an extra day where stuff's closed, kids are off school and the rest of it. But they're not actually off school. A lot of them are not off school this Friday. So even though it falls on the weekend, but what you will find, these are your days when you're in Mercadona doing your shopping, Jen, and you hear on the tannoy the store's closing in 15 minutes.
Yes.
They close early and all that
3
sort of
o'clock
thing.
in the afternoon, I think.
And strangely, I know that Wingate are closing Thursday and Friday, and that's like the British school, but they're closing to celebrate Canaries Day, but a lot of the Canarian schools are open.
I mean, that's fair. Interesting point about the Saturday bank holiday. There's some legislation going through about workers' rights on a Saturday when a bank holiday falls on a Saturday. I'll keep you updated because it's not gone through yet, but there's something happening with workers' rights to that day that falls on a Saturday.
Okay, cool.
Well, shout out to my
kids'
teachers.
Also, we're saying about the Canaries Day, if you are coming to Tenerife, take it as an opportunity to try something Canarian, whether it's some goat's cheese, go to one of the local restaurants,
every village will be having some sort of celebration.
And you will, this is how you can do the anti-tourist stuff, right? Because this is where you will get the warmest welcome and welcomed into these villages
at the local
to
fiestas.
Show off what they're doing. So if you want a true taste of Tenerife and you want to think, let's go to one of these fiestas, you will have the most amazing time. Until very early in the morning as well.
Well, the only thing I wanted to say about the kids and they're taking stuff in, the teachers take pity on me. Like, I've been asked to bring in...
We all do, Jen.
Spoons and plates.
Spoons and plates.
And juice.
You're not even responsible.
Canarian spoons and plates.
You're not even responsible.
Oh, God, is there a different kind of spoon? Oh, no.
Well, they have to be yellow. Spoon? Have to be yellow like canaries,
Don't
like the
start,
birds.
because I'm going to panic. I'm going to be panic buying.
Canaries. Oh, my God.
I'm going to be painting spoons.
Should we clear up that about the Canary Islands?
We don't need to.
Okay, I hope not.
It's dogs, not birds. We know that.
Okay. That's all from me.
Yep.
Shall we leave it on that while I'm going to go and panic buy yellow spoons?
Yes, good luck.
Thank you for listening to the Tenerife Pod. We'll be back soon.